Okay, folks, I'm here today with technical agronomist Todd Clausen. Todd, thanks for being here.
Pleasure.
We thought today it would be a valuable conversation to discuss fungicide use in corn and soybeans. So we're going to do this kind of interview style. Gonna try and include you guys in a conversation that Todd and I have had. So first thing, what are we looking for in a fungicide product?
So when we're going to use a fungicide, our basic premise is twofold. Obviously it's a fungicide, so it controls fungal diseases. That's number one. But our second major attribute is that the fungicides we use through here give us a plant health effect. So it's almost a secondary effect. So I'm looking for, number one, controlling a disease that will, in our part of the world, are leaf diseases that take away leaf area. If I take away leaf area, I lose the ability to capture sunlight and create sugars that grow the plant. But secondly, again, it's that plant health effect that these have that we're looking for.
Okay, excellent. There are many different fungicide options on the market. Are we looking for the same product to be used in a corn management situation and a soybean management situation?
Yes and no. So we're talking about two different fungicide type of products. So let's put it into perspective. One we'll call a preventative and one we'll call a curative. That's kind of how they've been designated in the industry. I'm not going to go into specific manufacturer products for specific recommendations. Contact Sean here at Bloom and Seed. But let's break it down into the two camps. The preventative is also known as the strobilurins or the strobes. And those are the compounds that give us that plant health effect. Okay. So how do they work? On a fungal property, they inhibit respiration. I'm not going to go into a chemistry lesson, but by inhibiting respiration, they don't grow during their dark period. They're not able to feed themselves, they die. So what's happening in that is it lowers the respiration rate of the entire plant. The plant respirates at night. The plant grows at night, uses the sugar it's accumulated all day. So using these products is as an analogy, having a cooler temperature at night, so it can respirate in greater fashion at a slower rate. The other products are the curative products, or the triazoles, and they are used to slow down the actual progression of a disease that's already, in fact, within your plant. Okay. So there are two different styles.
Okay, excellent. Understanding the benefits that you've just spoke to, let's talk about corn first. Timing on a corn application of fungicide.
These fungicides have labels starting at V8. Okay. And actually earlier than that, but you can run from V8 through tassel time and make these applications with no adjuvants. But what we're looking for and where we've had the most benefit are at those tassel time applications. So VT through brown silk. Now this is a long period of time. Mm-hmm. It can be 20 days at times. But the earlier you make these applications closer to full emergence of tassel, the more time you're going to protect that plant, the more benefit that plant has. So the earlier, the better. The longer I wait toward brown silk, my return on investment starts dropping off the table because I'm getting close to maturity. That make sense? Mm-hmm. So my application timing would be earliest best. So let's have my tassel completely unfolded. That's a great day. I've got silk about an inch to an inch and a half coming out of the ear shoots. So I know all my silk have formed, so now they're protected. So then let's go and hit that and let's provide that plant health effect. And I'm making these applications and generally they're coming out of the air. So they're coming either by an airplane, fixed wing aircraft, or out of a helicopter in pretty low rates of volume. So they're coming out at 2 gallons an acre. Remember, I've got to get to the plant. I've got to get to the tissue for it to have an effect. And so I've got all these leaves up here on the top of the canopy. The deeper I get that product into the canopy, the deeper into that plant it'll have an effect. If I don't get contact, it doesn't hit the leaf, come down the midrib, down the phloem, back up the xylem, and provide systemic effect. So I would prefer, understand that, so to get good coverage, you'd rather have high volume, small droplets, and just douse the plant. That's how I'm going to get the best coverage. Well, the best way to do that would be out of the ground rig, and that's not totally possible across all the acres that we're going to treat. But so aircraft is your option.
So to clarify, the best coverage I can get, and the only way the product works, is for full coverage of the plant. I only protect the tissue that's covered by the liquid.
That's correct.
So the fuller coverage, the higher quality of application. We've often used the term in fungicide applications that we extend grain fill period. Can you speak to that? Explain that process.
So the comment is grain fill period. Can I extend it? Can I keep it to its fullest extent? Well, the longer I have time to do anything, the more of that I can do. So the more reproductive phase that I can keep that plant alive, the longer it will fill grain. And that's basically what we're doing. We're keeping this plant alive as long as possible. For by two modes. I'm either protecting my leaf area, so I don't have these lesions that take away chlorophyll, that take away the ability to capture light, that creates the sugar that provides the energy. And secondly, it's the plant health effect that these preventative type of chemistries, these strobilurine chemistries, offer that plant by lowering its chemical progress or its chemical reaction progress. And so it simply keeps the plant alive a lot longer. The longer I keep that plant alive, the more carbohydrate starch I'm going to pound into that grain.
Okay, so we've spoke to the issue of fungicide use on corn. Let's speak to the issue of fungicide use on soybeans. With the introduction of Roundup Ready to Yield soybeans, we hear a lot about high management soybeans. We hear a lot about as we're producing soy that responds well to high management. I'm assuming that fungicide is a key part of that equation. Talk to the use of fungicide in soybeans.
So fungicide in soybeans in and of itself, we're simply only going to use the preventative style products. We're going to use the strobilurins. If you look at it from a curative effect, there aren't very many fungal pathogens that these products actually have an effect upon.
Okay.
But by applying these plant health preventative style of molecules in fungicide, it does the same thing for soy as it does for corn. And if I can keep that plant alive a lot longer, if I can keep it growing at a more robust pace, then I'm able to get an advantage from that. And soybeans have responded fairly well. Not to the extent of corn, simply because there's less potential in total bushels, but they are paying for themselves. I like to see the applications at R2 or even R3, but remember, the later you make an application in soybeans, the healthier you're going to keep that plant and the longer you keep it alive. And we do have experience with applying fungicides on soy a little bit late. Then I've got grain at 10% and I can't get them through the combine because the tissue stays so green.
Yeah.
That makes sense? So you want to be careful there. Although the later I make that application in soybeans, not like corn that I want it early, the later I apply it in soybeans, you can have an effect on the oil production in the bean. The oil is the heavy part of that seed.
Sure.
And so if I can protect that and help that, it will give you a bigger advantage. But there's that fine line of helping and then keeping myself too green when I'm trying to harvest.
I often hear people say, my field looks great, everything's green, it's even, I feel like I've got a great potential out there, why would I go add an expense to it? Why would I go out and spray something to it? Your response?
Oh, that's a pretty easy one. So what I hear you saying is my crop's in great shape. I'm not sure I can do any better. So why throw more money at it? When your crop's under good condition, luxurious growth. I've got a fabulous foundation below it. Why don't I want to protect as much foundation as I possibly can? So if I have corn that doesn't have it's not 175 bushel potential. It's 250 bushel potential, and if I can protect more off of the top, it's a pretty simple factor to me. It's a lot like foliar applications of plant food or of nutrients or fertilizers. I only want to do it when my plant's under great conditions because it'll be able to take advantage of it. Conversely, we're looking at a fairly early season stress period here right now. Today is June 12th. And if people are thinking, are you going to spray a fungicide? They go, well, depends on if it's going to rain. And we've seen the greatest responses in the most stressful years. So, you know, if I'm out there and I have 150 bushel potential, 10 bushel an acre is still a good business tool, right?
Absolutely.
That's how I look at it.
Absolutely. Excellent. Well, Todd, I appreciate your time today. DeKalb Mountain has done an excellent job helping us as dealers make recommendations on which products perform well under these type of management decisions. So please, if you have